Joining us now is Walter Blanks Jr., spokesman for the American Federation for Children. Welcome to you and thank you for being here. Walter, there's no denying that your story is one of success, of getting out of a bad situation and being guided to a much better one to brighten your own future. But is your story the exception to the norm?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And across the country, we are seeing that families and students in particular do not have access to the best educational environment that works for them. Now, they may not have the same story that I did or the same upbringing or background, but many families, many parents know what it's like to send their child to a school where they are not doing well and they are not thriving. And so when we're talking about school choice, it's important to have the parents and families in that conversation because, look, a lot of families are trapped in schools solely based off of where they live. And this education system is not conducive for a lot of students, and they need options and resources to put their children in the best environment that works for them. That is what school choice is about, and that's what my mom fought so hard for. And now I got to sit before Congress and share my story and my experience because it has changed my life and has the potential to change the lives of so many students across the country.
Right, and that is the goal, that we level the playing field, that all students, yourself included, have an opportunity to learn, to grow, to thrive for your future. There's something that the Education Secretary said to me in our discussion about people being trapped in a bad public school, and it just doesn't sit well with me that is okay with anyone, that school choice is the option because we have bad, failing public schools. As a whole, and I know this is a question for those in leadership positions in that department and others, but as a student who's gone through the system, how do we address that? How do we agree that it's not okay that any of our schools are a trap and that students are falling through those cracks?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing about that is parents and students have to be at the conversation, not the distant bureaucrats who more often than not send their own children to the highest performing private schools or public schools. And they do that with the public schools by moving into the very expensive neighborhoods. And so if private school is good for them, why is it not good for other families? Or why is the expectation that other families should sacrifice their children to a system that's not working? And so to answer your question, we have to have real conversations about the entire landscape of education, but particularly having discussions about families who are in low-income communities, who don't have access to alternative options, and their public school is not doing well. In my case, the principal told my mom to wait 5 years. 5 years, could you imagine that? And now, 20 years later, they have 17% proficiency in math and 34% proficiency in reading. So what has happened over the past 20 years, and how many more children have been failed because they've been simply told to just sit back and wait until things change?
Yeah, and to the point that the decision should be made to the parents, that parents have the best interests of their child. But what happens to the kids who don't have an advocate for them, right? There isn't a mom like yours who is speaking up for them. Who takes care of those kids?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of research out there that would explain that actually when these programs expand or go into states, that the public school actually improves as well, right? And that's something that would just be common sense, right? Competition breeds excellence. We see that in many other marketplaces in our country. And so students leave and they only take a portion of the dollars. So some of those dollars still remain in the public school while that student is not there. And so we've seen things actually rise and academic outcomes improve for students who are still remaining in the public school system. But let's be clear about what this is about. This is about the bureaucracy protecting itself and doing everything that it can to hold on to every single ounce of power that they have. And the reality is that power is very, very slowly slipping away. President Trump is adamant and very passionate about cleaning up the Department of Education, and so is Secretary Linda McMahon. And so we're starting to see all of this happen. And look, the bureaucracy is scrambling. They don't know what to do because now parents and families are in charge and they have the ability to make the best decision for their child.
Walter Blanks Jr., I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for stopping by, and we celebrate that your story is one of success. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.